Hey everybody, welcome back. So we see a lot of folks posting their thoughts and their feelings about Brian Barczyk, and I don't see a whole lot of people really touching on a couple topics that I think are pretty important. And I've got a little different perspective on some things I'm going to share with you guys and kind of look at some of the things we may want to consider moving forward today on Intrepid Exotics.
Whether you're a lifelong keeper or just getting started, help us encourage responsible keeping, conservation, and public education in the interest of keeping our reptiles safe and healthy as we protect them for future generations. You're invited to spend time with us as we experience these awesome animals together on Intrepid Exotics.
So we've seen a lot of people really opening up, putting out their feelings about Brian, how he's impacted them, and things like that, which is really awesome to see. So I'm going to preface by saying that I never knew Brian personally. I never met him, never went out to any of the events or anything like that. I've got friends that were really tight friends with him, and I trust their judgment about people. Everything that they say just speaks really highly of the guy, that he was, genuine and the same person that he portrayed to everybody else. But there's been a lot of things that have come out in the course of the last week or so. Some of his good friends have been coming out, kind of telling stories and reminiscing, and just kind of sharing as part of their grieving process. And you've got the other side of the spectrum too, where you see some people posting because it's good for the algorithm. But whatever reason, I think it's good to for the community to talk about it, just like anything else. Talking about things is how people manage their sadness about losing somebody, whether you were friends with him or whether he was just somebody that you followed really closely. But there's something I haven't heard talked about a whole lot, and that is, what are the key things that he stood for, that he represented with his vlog and with what he's doing with the Reptarium and how he interacted with people and things like that. And in the first video that I did, the one that was actually while he was still with us, that was intended to be a message directly to him, and hopefully he got a chance to see it before he passed. Um, you know, Dealing with losing somebody has a lot to do with what you carry forward of them into the rest of your life, and how you conduct yourself and how you interact with people, how we conduct ourselves and how we interact with people. And I think Brian is a really good example of a lot of things that could really benefit the entire reptile community and society as a whole, if we're being honest. Um, when Brian first started out, um, he caught some heat from people, and I didn't look into or follow a lot of his early stuff that he caught heat about. All I do know is generally, he evolved over time. Uh, his practices and everything evolved. He kept getting better, and he brought himself up to a level that, as far as I can tell, from everything that I've seen, was just really exemplary. The educational work and putting the stuff out, and the enthusiasm that he had for sharing the animals with people and stuff like that, going out and bringing people in off the streets and saying, "Hey, do you want to see me feed a snake?" Stuff like that is all really positive stuff that the community really needs to latch onto and carry forward. Since Brian's gone, um, there's a I really like the fact that even with the people previously that he may have had taking shots at him and things like that, he maintained. He didn't get into the toxicity of everything, and he was just like, "Yeah, Roger, I hope you're successful. We're working on getting better." And I think that's a position that all of us can take. Myself included. I'm struggling right now to get bigger space, get enclosure upgrades, because I feel like the 8-footers just aren't big enough for my snakes. I've got all this stuff that I want to do, and it's a work in progress. So, and it even goes back to a remark I talked about on a live stream last night, where somebody was saying, these reticulated pythons are much more dangerous, and you're doing the community a disservice by um, by showing them as being so easy to work with. And although I do believe they're easy to work with because mine are easy to work with, that's a criticism that there's some validity to. So, it's not like you get into a pissing contest trying to prove your point to somebody. It's like, hey, that's a valid point. This is my intention. Maybe I should start adding some other things into it. And it's that kind of interaction. Believe me, it's taken me a long time to really get myself to the point to have those interactions. The fighter for a long time. And that mentality just doesn't transfer over to some of those things really well. But over the years, I've really learned to tone that down and really try to find the good in what people are saying, even when I don't agree with them. That's something that I think from some of the interactions that I'd seen Brian had, that he was just really good at. And I think that's something that we can all take moving forward. And he was also really big on helping people, helping creators. And, I've seen creators that he's kind of taken under his wing and helped promote and help them grow a little bit. And he's mentored so many people. Thus, the huge outpouring from the community is passing, And, it's one of those things where you pass it forward. If you're one of those people that, he helped, that he mentored and things like that, the best thing you can do to honor his legacy is to do that for somebody else. We talk a lot in the community, in the social media groups and stuff like that, about people coming in and asking simple questions that, and then taking heat because they don't know. That's the kind of thing that Brian was opposed to. He wanted to see everybody succeed. He wanted to see everybody grow. So, for those of us that get questions from the community and stuff like that, even if you're in a group and you don't typically, people aren't typically coming to you for advice and stuff like that, just give people grace when we're interacting with them. You never know who's on the other side of that question. It may be a simple question regarding reptiles, and you may think it's elementary or a stupid question or whatever the case may be, but the person asking that question may be a certifiable genius or a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist, and they just don't know anything about snakes, and they're coming in to ask a community because they're used to being in a community where questions are answered and information's shared and people are shown respect. And they may come in expecting the same treatment, and if they don't get it, it may be something that pushes somebody completely out of the hobby, and they're just like, okay, well, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to find something else to do. So, when we're working with newer keepers, even when we see people doing something that's wrong, it's always in our best interest to build people up. People can learn, people can improve, and people need to. All of us do. So that's one thing I think that can be really important when we're, remembering Brian and envisioning, carrying him along with us as things progress. Brian believed in bringing the community together. That's why the Animal Con thing got started. He wanted to bring everybody together to share their experiences and grow and learn from each other and help everybody, get better and have a better life and a better experience with the animals. So it's something we should all take into consideration because, the reptile community, the number of keepers and things like that, it's getting bigger. More people are getting into it. We even get a lot of people that don't keep these animals at all that watch us, that, they like seeing the animals. They've got no intention of getting them. And when people look at the reptile community, they see a lot of people just enjoying the animals and being positive and helping each other while still holding everybody accountable pleasantly and professionally and all that stuff. It looks so good on the community. And when it comes time to start fighting these reptile laws, that's what these people are going to see. That's what we need to show them. So, the bickering and all of this other stuff, you get some people who their entire purpose every time they put something out is to go after somebody because they've got a personal gripe about them and things like that. Um, just don't engage with those folks. Don't acknowledge them. Somebody wants to start trouble in the groups or start trouble in the community and stuff like that, it's real easy. It's not acceptable. So just cut them off. If they're cut off, sooner or later, they're going to just be irrelevant, and we're going to continue with the positive moves that we're all making in order to fight legislation and improve the way we work with and keep the animals and so forth. Really important thing to carry forward. And the positivity aspect of it, I don't think can be emphasized enough. Really important for us. Our community of keepers can really be a role model for every other group in the country, in the world. We've got all races, all religions, all ethnicities and backgrounds. We all come together, we cut all that stuff loose, and we work with the animals. There's a lot to be said for being able to do that. And difficult as it may be sometimes, myself included, I've got pretty strong views on some things. Sometimes it's hard for me to bite my tongue. But again, nobody's perfect. We've all got things that we need to work on, and acknowledging that is always the most important part. Now, moving forward for them, I mean, the family has had such a loss. Brian, not only was he such a leading member of the reptile community, he's also the head of his household. So his family has definitely got their hands full. You can look at it one of two ways. You can either look at it as, man, look at all of this cool stuff that he left for his family. It's awesome. Look at all the stuff they've got to work with now. But you also can recognize the fact that, man, look at this huge responsibility that he left for this family. The huge hole that they've all got to come together and fill now. Brian was a savvy businessman as far as running all of this stuff and setting everything up. And now the family has got to do all that stuff without him. So, for those of us that are missing and talking about him and talking about how impactful he was on us, just think about how impactful he was on his own family and how the community needs to come together and support them right now just as much as they supported Brian when he was alive. Probably more. His son is stepping up. They're dealing with the whole grief of this process. He's continuing the work that his dad did. He's going to be learning. He's still young. Again, give him grace. Help him out. Lori has got to do a lot of this stuff. She's got to shoulder a lot of this burden on her own now. She's going to need help. And with 5 million followers on social media, of all those people, there's got to be people from different professions that can chip in and help out. Help shoulder that burden, so that these guys can keep moving forward and keep building on this thing. The best thing we can do as a community right now is to continue to support that. Continue to, keep subscribing to the channels that they put out. Keep following the videos. Keep following the vlogs that they put out. Throw in that encouragement and just continue to support the family, because they've got, even without Brian here, that is a huge thing for the reptile community. The reptarium, there's this aquarium that's going in right now. These are all really awesome things that are going to benefit a lot of people. So, Brian being gone doesn't mean that, well, damn, he's gone. I can't watch him on the vlogs anymore. Let me just shut this off. This isn't just, it's so much bigger than him. This is a community-wide effort that they've put in, and the community needs to stay on board and keep supporting all that stuff. So it's a sad time. And one thing that hit me, I see it's hitting the national news, reptile expert dies, blah blah blah. Yeah, I mean, I get some news coverage, but I always sit back and think, I'm like, where was the press and where were the news cameras when he was alive, when he was doing all this exciting stuff? And, that's something that the reptile community as a whole, if we start getting that national attention in a positive light, uh, it's going to be really beneficial to, helping to prevent bans and bad laws and stuff like that. Because, ultimately, like I said, I didn't know the man, but he pretty much bared his soul on his vlog, um, all the way up till the very end. So I think I've got a pretty good idea what his mindset is. And his mindset, from what I can tell, is we want to see the community thrive. We want to see it grow. Um, we want to, just like all of the memes that are going around, be kind to each other. Um, stuff is so much more than a meme. It's stuff that we really need to embrace moving forward. And just be positive and be responsible. Really, guys, the whole point to everything that I'm talking about here is just, I see such an outpouring. I see so many people talking about Brian, talking about how sad they are about the fact that he's passed. And if we're really sad about it and he really meant something to the community, then we should really see people starting to exemplify some of the things that he did. If we really miss him, then let's really take those best parts of what he gave to us and carry it forward and use that to help strengthen the community. I think that's a really important point to make. And it's something all of us can do. And it's something that all of us need to do. And with as many people as we have got, we get everybody on the same sheet of music, working together, and just enjoying this. This stuff is contagious, and it can spread out beyond the reptile community into every other community that sees us and sees how pleasant life can be when we're not butting heads and going after each other. So if you guys want to see the original, I'm going to put that up in the end screen, the message to Brian while he was still with us. And we had touched on some of the things that we talked about today in that video. But I felt like, these are points that I wanted to express in a little bit more detail, a little bit more depth, so that we can take the best parts of the example that he left and apply that to the rest of the community moving forward. So you guys have an outstanding day, and we will see you next time on Intrepid Exotics.